Aloha, I'm Diane Wilson from the Hawaii Writers Guild. Welcome to Write On, a series of videos with tips, instruction, and inspiration for all of you writers out there. Today's episode is focused on getting your book published, and joining me for today's session is Linda Norlander. Linda is the author of the mystery novel Death of an Editor, published by Level Best Books, May 2020. It's the first in the Cabin by the Lake series set in northern Minnesota. Norlander has written award-winning short fiction, nonfiction, and humor. She is a retired public health nurse who wrote the award-winning book To Comfort Always, A Nurse's Guide to End-of-Life Care. A former Minnesotan, she lives with her husband in Tacoma, Washington. Welcome, Linda.
Thank you for having me.
Well, there are many routes to publication. You can work directly through a publisher, self-publish, print on demand. What route did you take?
I took what you would consider the traditional route. I certainly looked into the other two, the print on demand, the self-publishing, but I really wanted to go the traditional way and hopefully be able to sell my book to a regular publisher. So I worked pretty hard on getting an agent, and then once I got the agent, she was able to sell the book. So what I did find is that major publishers require agents. You know, back in the olden days, they talked about those manuscripts going over the transom and that you could get in that way. Well, not anymore. So if you want a major publisher, you have to have an agent. And the other thing that I found in all the years that I've been doing this is that it's almost as hard to find an agent as it is to find a publisher.
Okay, I wondered about that. So how did you find your agent? And can you talk a bit about the agent query process?
Yes. I found my agent actually, and this is what I would recommend to anybody who's looking for one, do some research. I did some online research first, looking for, and since my book was a mystery, I was looking for agents who represented mysteries. And there's a lot of good information out there if you just, quite frankly, just Google agents representing mysteries. Once I had a list of those agents, I went to their websites to look at who they represented, what kinds of books they represented. The other thing that I did was I made a list of a number of agents who represented books that I really respected. And then I went, or represented authors, I should say, and then I went to the library and took some of those books out to see, is this the way I want to go? So it was really a process. I would strongly recommend doing that kind of research because you want to have the right agent for you. And agents vary. They vary from I will represent your book and then I'm out of it, to being very personal and very involved. One of the things that I highly recommend too, once you've decided my manuscript is ready and I want an agent, is to be very sure that your manuscript is ready. Agents are not particularly interested in somebody querying them and saying, well, I have this idea and I have the first chapter. What do you think? Do you want it? They want to be assured that the book is finished. Now, I'm talking specifically for fiction. Nonfiction is a different story, but they want it finished and they want it as polished as possible. And that's what you want to do, because basically you're trying to sell them on your book. And an agent is not going to buy a book or represent a book if they don't think they can sell it. Couple of sort of recommendations too when it comes to querying. Read the agent's website and they will tell you what they want in a query. If they say query with 3 pages, meaning write a query letter and then send 3 pages of the manuscript, do that. Don't send the whole manuscript. They're going to pay attention to whether you can follow instructions. The other thing in querying an agent is to make sure that you tailor it to that particular agent. The agent I have was very clear on her website that of what she represents. She represents mysteries and romance, and she has shared with us, without sharing names, of course, some of the queries that she gets that look like, you know, it was a let's just throw this out to the whole world and see if anybody responds. You know, I have this wonderful 200,000 word historic novel about Napoleon. Are you interested? Well, no, she does mysteries. So make sure you tailor it. And I can give you an example of just how to start a query. I actually look back at what I had done when I queried my agent. Do you want me to read the first paragraph?
That would be great. Yes.
Oh, all right. And my agent, by the way, she does mysteries, cozy mysteries, romance, is kind of a boutique agency. That's pretty much what she represents. So I told her right away, I said, I'm seeking representation for, and at that time, the name of the book was A Cabin by the Lake. By the way, book names do change in the process. It's a 90,000 word mystery set on the fictional Lake Larissa in northern Minnesota. Jamie Forrest, a native New Yorker, has escaped the city for the quiet of the Northwoods Lake, only to become the prime suspect in a murder. And all I wanted to do was get her attention, let her know that that I knew that she represented mysteries. Then a couple paragraphs later, I mentioned that the book was similar to one of the books that she already represents. So to know that this was specifically tailored for her.
Good. Oh, this is really helpful information. So once you've found your agent, you're wanting to get the book published. Now, does she go out and select the publishers, or did you have input to that process?
I did not have input to the process of publishers. Most agents have relationships with certain publishing houses, certain editors. And in my case, I really trusted her to know where to send it and where not to send it. So I really did not ask her anything or tell her anything specific, like, I want this book to go to Kensington, or I want that was up to her. And she was, and this is another thing in working with an agent. I've had agents in the past that I had very little communication with. She was excellent. First of all, she told me, these are the first publishers I'm going to send them out to. And then she kept me updated as to, did they want a manuscript? Did they turn it down? All those kinds of things. So I felt like I was really involved in the process, but she was excellent at keeping me informed.
Great.
And then I got that phone call. That phone call I've been waiting for 50 years.
Okay, what was it like?
Oh, I saw the caller ID. I saw it was my agent, and I thought, oh, she's going to tell me that she's dropping the book. But no, that was pretty exciting. That was very exciting. And then the process from there on in, it was nice to have an agent because she knows her way through contracts. She knows her way through, this is the process, this is what's going to happen. This is what we want to negotiate. This is what we want to change in the contract. I wouldn't have known that on my own.
Okay. So once you got the book published and it's out in print, at that point, what role does the agent play, and what role do you play after publication?
Oh my goodness. Her role is pretty minimal after publication. Um, other than other than she has been very good. Again, I'm very lucky to have the agent I do. She's been very good at supporting her authors. She has a private Facebook for her authors, so we can contact each other. We can ask questions on Facebook about publishing, about editing, all those kinds of things. But beyond that, her role is pretty minimal until I have another manuscript to sell. What I did is I signed a 3-book contract. So I'm contracted to Level Best for the Cabin by the Lake series. And there will be 3 books and hopefully 4, because I'm working on the 4th book. But at this point, that's what the contract is. As far as after publication, now you're in a whole different world, a world that I love writing. I love the whole creative process, all of that. But now we're in the world of marketing. Mm. And I think you could probably do a whole nother video on talking with somebody about the world of marketing. I'm such a novice with it. But unless you have a major publisher who is going to put a lot of money into promoting your book, it's really up to the author to get that book out.
I don't think people wanted to hear that.
I'm sorry. I take it all back. It's real simple. Yes, the multi-country book tour unfortunately got canceled.
Right. Okay. This was not one of the original questions I was going to ask you, but I'm curious as you're talking now. So from the time of you finishing writing the book to the point at which it came out in publication, that seems like that was a process. That, you doing your research, you're querying agents, the agent finding a publisher. Do you have a sense for how long that took, that aspect of it?
From the time the book was and I sent it to the agent, or it found the agent.
From the time that you finished writing to the time it actually was published?
Oh, I would say almost 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. Oh.
Yeah. I started the book in the summer of 2018. I think. Boy, time goes by. And then I put it down. I put it down for, I got partway through it, and you know how that goes, and got distracted, put it down. And in November of 2018, this was fun. My granddaughter was doing something called NaNoWriMo.
Yes.
You guys know what that is? National Novel Writing Month. So we challenged each other, and I picked up that book, and I finished it during NaNoWriMo. I finished the first draft, but then there's the second draft and the third draft, and and then the once I got the agent, she actually, and not all agents will do this, but she was wonderful with this too. She read the whole thing and edited it. And got it back to me, and with her suggested changes, which I made before she even sent it out to the publisher. And then, of course, once you sign the contract, then you have a publisher who is going to do both a developmental edit, which is looking at it and saying this makes sense or it doesn't, and then of course the editing for all the commas and all that kind of stuff. So I'd say it was about a 2-year process.
Okay, great. So you've gone a few different routes because you've published more than one book. What would you say are the pros and cons of using an agent to get published?
I think the biggest pro of using an agent to get published is that most publishers won't look at unagented work, particularly if it's fiction. There are some very small ones out there who will, but it's like they're saying, if it's good enough for an agent, then it's good enough for me to look for it. So I think that's the biggest pro, is that you really do get it around to publishers. The second thing about having an agent is that they understand the contracts. They also understand the market. So they aren't going to send your manuscript around to publishers who aren't interested in that particular manuscript. They're good with the contract advice. They're going to get you the best deal. I can't imagine trying to negotiate a contract myself. I'd have no idea. I would probably be saying, "You want my book? Great. How much do you want me to pay you?"
Okay.
The two cons that I can come up with, and there are authors out there who are very successful who are unagented. One of them is that in order to have an agent, they take a cut. So that's part of the agent contract. It's like real estate. You sell through a realtor and they're going to take their cut. Mm-hmm. And I think the other con is simply how difficult it is to find an agent.
Okay. Okay. Is there any final advice you have for our viewers out there who are wanting to get published?
I think the biggest piece of advice I have is make sure before you send it out that it is exactly where you want it to be. It may change later if you get an agent or a publisher, but make sure it is the best that it can possibly be. I'm a great proponent of writers groups, critique groups, because you may think that you've just written the best novel ever, but that's in your head. And it's always good to get somebody else to look at it. Another piece that I would say is, if you have the opportunity to go to writers' conferences and you have the opportunity to do a pitch session with agents, that can be so valuable. Agents are going to be more receptive to you when they've actually met you and seen your face. Mm-hmm. And the whole process of pitching your book sometimes helps you really get it down to, oh, this is what I want to say about it. I would say the con, as far as agents, is simply they're difficult to get. They're difficult to, it's a lot of work, but I think it's well worth it.
Okay, good. Before we bring this to a close, I'm curious, do you have a copy of the book there that we could take a look at?
Oh, I'd be happy to show you a copy of it. And by the way, I had some input on the cover. I love it.
Oh, nice. Nice. That was something else I wondered about, is when you are going through an agent and then a publisher, do you have input like that? So that's good to know.
Yeah, and it depends. It depends on the publisher, but most are going to want to hear, what do you think about this? They gave me, I think, 5 different covers to decide, and then I could make the decision. I really like that.
Good, good. Well, congratulations to you, and thanks so much for sharing your experience with us. For those of you watching and want more information on writing or on the Hawaii Writers Guild, you can go to www.hawaiiwritersguild.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.